I need you to stop believing that the price of silver is determined by supply and demand. And I absolutely need you to stop believing that the United States financial system is a free market. Because today we have the smoking gun. We have the evidence that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that the game is rigged. The casino is fixed. The dice are loaded. And for the first time in history, the people rigging the game have been caught red-handed by someone with enough money to make them pay. It is Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. And the headline you should be reading, the headline that should be on the front page of every newspaper in the world, is this: the price is fake. We have received intelligence regarding a massive $100 million investor, a whale, who has been quietly accumulating positions in the silver market. This isn't a retail trader. This isn't a guy on Reddit. This is a sophisticated institutional player. And he has just presented undeniable forensic proof that the algorithmic pricing models used by the bullion banks are fraudulent. Remember the glitch we talked about last week? Remember when the CME went dark? Remember when the price crashed for no reason? They told you it was a technical issue. They told you it was a reporting error. It was a crime. This investor has analyzed the tick-by-tick data, and he has exposed the mechanism they use to steal your wealth. It is called spoofing and front-running. Let me explain exactly how they rob you, because it is disgusting. Imagine you want to buy silver. You place an order. The bank's computer sees your order coming in milliseconds before it hits the market. It steps in front of you. It buys the silver first. Then it sells it to you at a slightly higher price. They make pennies on every trade, but they do this millions of times a day. They are shaving billions of dollars off the retirement accounts of hardworking people and funneling it into their bonus pools. But spoofing is even worse. This is when they place a massive sell order to scare the market. They put a block of 5,000 contracts on the screen. The market sees this huge wall of selling and panics. The price crashes. But here's the trick. They never intend to sell. The moment the price drops, they cancel the order. They tricked you. They made you sell your real metal because they flashed a fake order on the screen. It is like screaming "fire" in a crowded theater to loot the concession stand while everyone runs for the exits. And for years, we have screamed about this. We have been called conspiracy theorists. We have been called crazy. But now, the regulators are quietly admitting it. We are hearing reports of a settlement, a $1 billion fine. And this is the most insulting part. They steal $10 billion from investors. They destroy the pricing mechanism of a strategic global asset. And their punishment is to pay a $1 billion fee. That is not a penalty. That is a commission. That is the cost of business. It is the government saying, "Good job, boys. Just give us our cut and you can go back to rigging the machine." But why now? Why is this evidence coming out today? Because the manipulation is finally breaking the physical supply chain. You can suppress the price of a paper contract forever, but you cannot suppress the laws of physics. They have suppressed the price so low for so long that the mines are shutting down. The refiners are empty. The rig has worked too well. It has created a shortage so acute that now even the manipulators are terrified. They are trying to keep the beach ball underwater, but the beach ball is turning into a naval mine. And while they play their games with algorithms in New York, the real world is running dry. We have confirmation from the heart of the banking world. We have confirmation from Switzerland. The vault is empty. The free market illusion is shattering, and what is left underneath is a terrifying lack of metal. We need to talk about the zero stock report. We need to tell you what is happening in the Swiss refineries right now, but the smoking gun isn't just a spreadsheet in New York. The real evidence, the terrifying evidence, is thousands of miles away, deep in the Alps. To understand how fake the price is, you have to look at the one place on Earth that has never run out of gold or silver: Switzerland. Switzerland is the refining capital of the world. It is the piggy bank of the global elite. It is where the metal goes to be purified, stamped, and stored for the next century. If there is silver anywhere, it is in Zurich or Ticino. But today we received a report that should send a shiver down your spine. We have a trusted source, a senior executive at one of Switzerland's largest physical bullion dealers, who has gone on the record with us. And his message is simple and catastrophic. He said, and I quote, "We have zero stock of silver." Let that sink in. Zero. Not low stock, not delayed shipping. Zero. He went on to clarify that they have not been able to source a single significant delivery of physical silver for many weeks. The refineries are running on fumes. The wholesalers are empty. The authorized participants, the banks that are supposed to supply the market, are ghosting them. They are calling London. They are calling New York. And the answer they are getting is, "We have nothing for you." Now, look at your screen. Look at the price ticker flashing $86. The computer tells you that you can buy silver for $86, but the biggest dealer in the wealthiest country on earth tells you he can't buy it at any price. This is the great disconnect. This is the moment where the matrix glitches. The paper market is screaming that silver is abundant and cheap. The physical market is screaming that silver is extinct. And this proves that the paper smash we saw earlier this week was a total failure. The banks smashed the price to try and shake loose some physical metal. They thought, if we crash the price, people will panic and sell us their bars. But nobody sold. The Swiss didn't sell. The investors didn't sell. Instead, the lower price just accelerated the drain. It acted like a clearance sale sign on an empty store. The demand skyrocketed, but the supply was already gone. Think about the implications for Europe. If Switzerland is dry, it means the strategic reserve of the entire continent has evaporated. It means the industrial manufacturers in Germany and France, who rely on Swiss refineries for their silver paste and wire, are about to hit a brick wall. Volkswagen, Siemens, Airbus. They are waking up to a supply chain that has been hollowed out by paper manipulation. They are realizing that they cannot build cars or turbines with a futures contract. They need the atoms, and the atoms are gone. And where did they go? They went to the new longs. They went to the people we are going to talk about next. They went to the entities that are attacking the COMEX right now. Because while the Swiss vaults are gathering dust, the American vaults are being raided. The zero stock report is the canary in the coal mine. It is the warning that the system has seized up. The engine has run out of oil, but the dashboard still says full speed ahead. And that engine is about to explode. We need to look at the data coming out of New York to see the other half of this disaster. We need to see how the smart money is reacting to the news that Switzerland is empty. They aren't selling. They are demanding delivery of 14 million ounces in 4 days. But if you want to see the panic in real time, you don't have to fly to Switzerland. You just have to look at the ledger of the COMEX right here in New York. Because while the Swiss vaults are empty, the American vaults are being raided with a ferocity we have never seen before. We are witnessing a run on the bank that is happening so fast, the regulators can't even print the paper fast enough to cover it up. Let's look at the hard data. Let's look at what happened in the first 96 hours of February. Now, you need to understand the rules of the game. February is traditionally a non-delivery month for silver futures. It is supposed to be a ghost town. The big delivery months are usually March, May, July, September, and December. February is the off-season. Volume should be low. Delivery notices should be near zero. The traders should be on vacation. But this week, the vacation was canceled. In just the first 4 days of this month, 2,955 delivery notices were issued. Let me say that number again, because in the context of a non-delivery month, it is astronomical. 2,955. Now let's do the math. Each contract represents 5,000 ounces of silver. Multiply 2,955 by 5,000. That is 14,775,000 ounces. 14.8 million ounces. Demanded for immediate physical delivery in 4 days, in a month where nobody is supposed to be taking delivery. This is not normal market behavior. This is a raid. This is the equivalent of a crowd of people showing up at a quiet branch bank on a Sunday morning and demanding $50 billion in cash. It breaks the system. The warehouses aren't staffed for this. The armored trucks aren't booked for this. The logistical network is overwhelmed. But here is the anomaly that proves this is a coordinated attack. If you go back and look at the open interest, the number of active contracts, at the close of business on the last day of January, the number was tiny. It was only 1,231 contracts. So, logically, if every single person who held a contract on January 31st decided to take delivery, the maximum number of notices should be 1,231. You cannot deliver more contracts than exist, right? Wrong, because the actual number was 2,955. Where did the extra 1,700 contracts come from? Where did the demand for that extra 8 million ounces appear from? It came from new money. It came from entities entering the market on February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. They didn't buy the contract to trade it. They didn't buy it to hedge a bet. They bought the contract at 9 a.m. and they slammed the demand delivery button at 9:01 a.m. They are using the futures market as a grocery store. They are walking in, buying everything on the shelf, and walking out the back door with the metal before the ink is even dry on the receipt. This is the behavior of a buyer who is terrified. This is the behavior of a buyer who knows that Switzerland is empty. They know that if they don't get the metal now, they might never get it. So they don't care about the non-delivery month tradition. They don't care about the premium. They just want the ounces. And they are draining the COMEX at a rate of 3.5 million ounces per day. At this pace, the registered inventory will be gone before the month is over. This 14 million ounce drain is the smoking gun. It proves that the price smash failed to scare away demand. In fact, it did the opposite. It signaled to the sharks that the bank is bleeding. And now the sharks are circling. We need to talk about who these sharks are. We need to talk about the new longs and why they're attacking the bank right now. So, We have to ask the question that is terrifying the bullion banks right now. Who are they? Who are these people buying 14 million ounces of silver in the middle of a non-delivery month? Who has the capital, the logistics, and the guts to walk into the COMEX, slap $1 billion on the counter and say, "Give me the metal now"? We call them the new longs. And they are the most dangerous predator the manipulation cartel has ever faced. To understand why they are so dangerous, you have to look at the mechanics of what they just did. In a normal market, if you want to buy silver, you buy a contract and you wait. You play by the rules. But the new longs didn't play by the rules. The data shows that 1,700 of these contracts were bought and exercised in the same window. They didn't hold the position. They entered the market with a specific intent of breaking the bank. This is not speculation. This is a raid. This is a strategic entity, likely a sovereign wealth fund, a massive industrial user like Tesla or Samsung, or a consortium of family offices that has decided to bypass the broken supply chain. They looked at Switzerland. They saw zero stock. They looked at London. They saw the vacuum draining metal to China. And they realized that the COMEX in New York was the last place on earth where you could still get silver at the fake price of $86. So they attacked it. They are using the COMEX as the vendor of last resort. Usually the exchange is the place of last resort for sellers. It's where you dump metal you can't sell elsewhere. But today, it is the only place where you can buy volume. And the new longs are stripping it bare. They are buying the paper contract, waiting the minimum regulatory minute, and then serving the stop notice. That is the legal document that forces the bank to deliver physical bars. It sends the bank managers into a panic. They have to go into the vault, find the specific bars, verify the serial numbers, and load them onto the truck. But what if the bars aren't there? What if the registered inventory is just a lease from another bank? Then they have to scramble. They have to borrow. They have to steal from Peter to pay Paul. This raid is causing internal chaos. We are seeing EFRP transactions, exchange for physical, spiking. This is where banks secretly pay traders to not take delivery. Here, take this cash bribe. Just go away and don't ask for the metal. But the new longs aren't taking the bribe. That is the scariest part for the cartel. These new buyers don't want the cash premium. They don't want the profit. They want the atoms. The music is slowing down, and the new longs just grabbed 2,955 chairs. They left the bank standing. And when the music stops completely, which could be days away, the banks are going to realize they owe metal they do not have. And do you know who else sees this raid? Do you know who else is watching the COMEX bleed dry? The United States government. They have access to the real-time data. They see the new longs attacking. They see Switzerland empty. And they have realized that if they let this continue, if they let the free market drain the strategic stockpile, the U.S. economy is defenseless. So they are stepping in. They are ending the game. They are about to do something that hasn't been done in 50 years. They are putting a floor under the price. We need to talk about the bombshell announcement from J.D. Vance. We need to explain why the free market is officially dead and the government market has begun. But the raid on the COMEX is only the symptom. The cure, or perhaps the final nail in the coffin of the free market, was announced just hours ago in Washington, D.C. If you thought the new longs attacking the bank was big news, what I am about to tell you changes the fundamental physics of the silver market forever. We have been waiting for the government to wake up. We have been warning that the paper price was destroying the physical supply. A bombshell that has the trading desks in London paralyzed with shock. He officially announced the formation of a critical minerals trading bloc. This is a coalition of over 50 nations, including Canada, Australia, Mexico, and the European Union, that will align their strategic resource policies. But that isn't the headline. The headline is the mechanism they are going to use to secure supply. Vice President Vance used two words that are anathema to Wall Street, but salvation to the miners. Price floors. You heard me correctly. Price floors. The United States government, the supposed champion of free enterprise, has explicitly stated that they will establish a strategic price floor for critical commodities, including silver, cobalt, and rare earths. They are effectively nationalizing the pricing mechanism. They are saying, we will no longer allow the paper market to drive the price below the cost of production. They are saying, if the banks smash the price to $80, the trading bloc will step in and buy everything at $100. Why are they doing this? Why destroy the free market? Because they realized that the free market was actually a suicide pact. They looked at the data. They saw the smash to $86. And they realized that at $86, the primary silver mines in the Americas cannot expand. They cannot explore. They cannot build the infrastructure needed to supply the green revolution or the military-industrial complex. They realized that low prices were starving the West and feeding China. Every time the banks smashed the price, China bought the dip. The low price was a subsidy for Beijing. It was a transfer of wealth from American mines to Chinese stockpiles. So the pivot has happened. The government has decided that national security is more important than banking profits. They are taking the toys away from the toddlers on Wall Street. They are effectively putting a put option under the entire silver market. Think about what this means for you as an investor. Usually, when you buy silver, you are worried about the downside. What if it crashes? What if it goes to 50? J.D. Vance just told you that the downside is gone. He just told you that the most powerful economic bloc in history, the United States and its allies, will not allow the price to crash. They will become the buyer of last resort. This is the end of the manipulation era. The banks can try to spoof, they can try to front run, but they cannot fight a government that has an infinite printing press and a mandate to hoard metal. If J.P. Morgan tries to short silver down to 80, and the U.S. government has a standing order to buy at 90, J.P. Morgan gets slaughtered. The government floor becomes the new reality, and once the floor is set, the only way is up. This is a return to the strategic stockpile mentality of the Cold War. But this time, it is not just about having enough metal for bullets. It is about survival. It is about ensuring that there is silver for the solar panels that power the grid. It is about ensuring there is silver for the microchips that run the AI. The U.S. government has admitted that silver is a strategic metal, not just a speculative token. And strategic metals do not trade on the free market. They trade on the security market. So the game has changed instantly. The bear case for silver is dead. You cannot bet against the price when the government is rigging it upwards. The smash is over. The floor is in. And now, with Switzerland empty, with the new longs raiding the vault, and with the government acting as the ultimate whale, the price has no ceiling. We need to give you the final verdict. We need to tell you what this means for your stack right now. So, here's the verdict. We have peeled back the layers of the onion, and what we found is a market that is fundamentally broken, corrupt, and now officially dead. We started with the smoking gun, the $100 million investor who proved the banks were spoofing the price to steal your wealth. We looked at Switzerland and saw the terrifying reality of zero stock in the world's refining hub. We watched the COMEX bleed 14,775,000 ounces in just 4 days as the new longs raided the vault. And finally, we heard the death knell of the free market from Vice President J.D. Vance himself. Price floors. You need to understand the magnitude of this shift. For the last 50 years, the rig was designed to push the price down. It was designed to make the dollar look strong and gold look weak. But as of today, the rig has flipped. The United States government has realized that the down rig is a national security threat. It is starving the mines. It is emptying the vaults. It is handing the future to China. So they are now rigging the price up. They are stepping in as the buyer of last resort to ensure that the mines stay open and the metal stays in the West. This means the bear market is mathematically impossible. You cannot have a crash when the entity with the printing press has put a floor under the market. If the price drops, the government buys. The downside risk has been removed. The put option is in place. And this leads to the most important realization for you, the individual stacker. You cannot buy cheaper than the government. If the United States creates a trading block with a price floor of, say, $100, then you will never see $86 silver again. The window to buy at these suppressed, manipulated paper prices is closing. It is closing not because the market is rallying naturally, but because the government is about to revalue the asset by decree. Right now, you're staring at a momentary anomaly. You are staring at a price that is still being suppressed by the old algorithm, while the new government floor is being built underneath it. This is the arbitrage of a lifetime. You can still buy silver today at the banker's fake price, but tomorrow you might be forced to buy it at the government's real price. And the difference between those two numbers is going to be staggering. Do not wait for the official announcement of the floor price. Do not wait for the Critical Minerals Act to be signed into law. By then, the premiums will be 50%. By then, the dealers will be sold out. The new longs know this. That is why they drained 14 million ounces this week. The Swiss know this. That is why they are hoarding. And now you know it. The smash is over. The free market is over. Welcome to the era of strategic scarcity. The U.S. government just joined the squeeze. You are now on the same side of the trade as the printing press. Do not bet against the whale. Become the whale. This is Asian Guy. The floor is in. The rig